is very self-centered. I don't deserve this. Why should this happen to me? After all I've done for you, God. Now that's a very twisted and biased, self-centered approach. I don't deserve this. As if I only deserve good things and blessing, pressed down, shaken together and running over. That's surely what I deserve. Now I have found that when my starting point is different, Lamentations chapter 3 verse 22, because of the Lord's great love we are not consumed. When my starting point is, it's only because of your love and mercy that I can live another day. After all the sin that I have sinned, after all the blatant defiance I'm guilty of as a believer, as a born-again believer, let alone before I was saved, after all my animosity to God, me, born in trespasses and sins, a rebel at heart, because of the Lord's great love, we are not consumed. It's not what I deserve, it's, Lord, you've had mercy on me. I, who don't deserve it, I have obtained mercy. When that's the starting point, I find things come very much more into focus. For his compassions fail not. They are new every morning. Great is thy faithfulness. And when I'm falsely accused, then I think, well, what about all the times that I should have been rightfully accused and no one ever found out? You see, only you live with you and you know what you've got away with. And only I live with me, and I know what I'm guilty of. And it's only of his mercies that we are not consumed. His compassions never fail. They are new every morning. Great is thy faithfulness. It's unrealistic to ask God to weave a magic spell, as it were, around us so that bad things will only happen to other people and never to us. There was a case in England many years ago. They had a franking machine for stamps. And as they stamped the letters and they came in, and often it has a little message on that. Well, the message was, people like you cause accidents. And that was the message that they franked all these envelopes with. And one man took them to court. He said, I resent that. People like you cause accidents. But it's unrealistic to ask God to, as it were, weave a magic spell around us so that bad things will only happen to them, other people, and never to us. I guess Job's cry of, why is God doing this to me, is not so much a theological question as a cry for sympathy. Unfortunately, his so-called friends tried to answer his voice rather than his heart. And that's a lesson to learn when you're counselling someone who has a broken heart and is distressed and overwrought. Don't answer their voice. ask God how you can answer their heart. I like the phrase, the theology of accompaniment. It means being alongside people who are hurting. Not because you can supply the answers, but because you can sit where they sit and weep with those who weep and just be there for them. Job needed sympathy and compassion far more than he needed advice. He needed people holding him rather than scolding him. Now, may be that you are acquainted with grief, or you know people who are. You know a thing or two about suffering from personal experience. Maybe you sigh. How right Eliphaz was when he said in chapter 5 of Job and verse 7 these words. Job 5 verse 7. This is something that's true that Eliphaz said. Yet man is born to trouble as surely as sparks fly upward. Maybe you didn't think it could get any worse, but it has. I guess Job felt like that. It's the pits. Look at chapter 7 and verses 5 to 7. These are Job's words. My body is clothed with worms and scabs. My skin is broken and festering. My days are swifter than a weaver's shuttle, and they come to an end without hope. Remember, O God, that my life is but a breath. My eyes will never see happiness again. And in the same chapter, he's exasperated by this life. Look at it in verse 16. I despise my life. I would not live forever. Let me alone. My days have no meaning. Here's a truth. Life is not television. You can't switch to another channel. This isn't your virtual life. This is your life. And though you might wish to flick to another channel, can't be done. Job's friends quickly get him rattled. Then they start insulting him. Eliphaz called him a fool. Bildad said he was godless. Zophar snapped, "You're brainless, with no more sense than a donkey." Well, they need to go to a counselling seminar, don't they? Chapter 13 and verse 12. Chapter 13, verse 12. Job's sick and tired of all this stuff. He says, "Your maxims are proverbs of ashes. Your defences are defences of clay." Having heard the first round of their speeches, he feels he's won the day. In a sense, the very uselessness of his unhelpful friends drives Job back on God alone.